My topic today, I'm going to be covering Microsoft security operations, and I'll mostly focus on the efforts and people and intelligence that are hard at work behind the scenes that are essentially helping to secure your organization and even the world from cyber threats every day. So hopefully that slide advances. All right, on a roll. So yes, this is an eye chart, and I apologize for putting this right up front. Don't try to read all this. I'll explain things as we go here, but this is the one of many architectures that our customers use to not only secure Azure services like Office 365, but also other cloud environments they're utilizing like Amazon and Google, as well as on-prem enterprise systems and applications. So the reason why I really like starting with this, especially for an audience like Angel Beats audiences, is to really first off point out that it's not all about Microsoft here, right? As you can see, we have a number of integration partners, and our integration partners are massive, and they're constantly growing. You've heard from a few of those today. You're going to hear from more later on. And our customers, we realize that our customers don't only use Microsoft. Of course, we would want them to, but of course, that's not the reality of it all. So these partnerships are vital to, the security of their environments, as well as our customers' environments, and even the world in some cases. And I'll kind of make that apparent as I show you more of the things that I'm talking about in terms of Security Operations Center, as well as some of the things Microsoft does on a grandiose scale, working with the three-letter agencies in the US and all around the world to make the world a safer place to operate in. So as you can see, all of our cloud services span across our customers, devices, endpoints, including mobile, information and data protections, cloud app security, as well as security management and governance. So they provide such things as dashboards, alerts, reports, recommended actions. They use AI and machine learning to reduce noise and increase response times at the end of the day. So, whoops, I'm jumping ahead of myself here. So, all right, well, guess what, folks? That is that's as deep as I'm going to go in terms of speaking specifically about technology capabilities that Microsoft offers. So before I go on, though, the second reason I wanted to start with this slide is the label in red here that deserves a much larger box and highlighting. This is the Microsoft Threat Intelligence. And some of you know it as our Intelligence Security Graph. And this really represents the core of Microsoft's unique strength as a world provider of cybersecurity. Okay, so this threat intelligence includes human expertise and experts. This is essentially the luxury of having over $1 billion cybersecurity budget, and also around or more than and growing 3,500 cyber professionals that are hired within Microsoft itself. So that intelligence is provided within organizations or partners through Microsoft. It goes directly into our security capabilities and to our partners, including partnerships with government and three-letter agencies. So I'm going to go into more details on that as we go here. But the goal of my presentation today, and what I'll be focusing on, again, includes giving you some understanding about Microsoft's digital crimes unit, as well as other ways Microsoft partners with government and industry as a world security provider. And it's pretty fascinating. So I'm not going to be geeking out about any specific security tools or platforms or getting into specific Microsoft capabilities, as I mentioned. That's actually my normal routine and what I do every day. But today I get to step out of that. So obviously I'm enthusiastic about that. I probably, I should give Ron a thanks and Angel Beats a thanks for letting me do this. So thank you, Ron. All right, so let's jump in. The security graph. This is all that threat intelligence I was speaking about, and really what, like I mentioned, is what sets us aside. I also mentioned AI and machine learning. So we train all of a lot of our security artificial intelligence systems and machine learning models against trillions of signals daily. And that enables us to see around corners and help protect customers from breach attempts that hopefully or don't or won't be successful cyber attacks down the road. As most of you know, pretty much everyone touches Microsoft in some way, shape, or form. This happens anywhere where Windows endpoints such as PCs, laptops, servers, and IoT devices. And also, whenever email messages that pass through Exchange servers on other clouds within Microsoft. It could be Microsoft 365 apps on iOS and Android devices, or identity and cloud services hosted by Azure. But to my point, everyone in some way, shape, or form a lot of times is working with our capabilities and technology. And so this is true especially for enterprise organizations. 95% of Fortune 500s run on Microsoft Cloud. All of our US government organizations run some sort of Microsoft capability and or cloud services at this point. And it's such a great scale, comes even greater responsibility. Okay, and the duty to keep not just ourselves and our own infrastructure safe, but our customers secure and the cyberspace at large secure. So we use our telemetry data for good, right? We take this responsibility very seriously. And as such, we're making very significant investments in security operations, which gives us a unique advantage. And I'm going to speak to a little bit more about our investments that have recently been in the news lately as well later on in the presentation. Now, we break these advantages essentially into three parts, okay? So let me jump over to that. Whoops. Okay, so let's get into it. Let me give an example of. Let's just go forward and let me give an example of how we leverage how this all this telemetry is leveraged in a kind of a real life example. So in October 2019, a high school economics teacher, we're going to call him Mr. Cotter, and I know I'm dating myself here. I don't know if hopefully some of you might remember that show. But Mr. Cotter in rural Midwest was working on his district issued Windows 8 PC running G Suite Education. He was using his built-in Windows 8 email app, and he had checked his personal Gmail account. So unbeknownst to him, he had received an email with an attachment infected with a brand new variant of the Emotant Trojan. So in fact, this variant was so new that Mr. Cotter was the first person to ever encounter it. And so no signature yet had really existed to help identify this new threat. And so here's what happened next. So Mr. Cotter double-clicked the attachment to open it. But before the attachment could open, Windows and the built-in email client required 80+ cloud-based machine learning models to ask for determination as to whether it was malicious or benign. So in parallel to that, the file also detonated in an isolated VM in an AI system, which watched to see what would happen if that file opened, right? So both the cloud models and the detonation services happened to determine that the file was malicious, blocked it from opening, and deleted it from Mr. Cotter's PC. And so the file was flagged for human security analysts to review it further. All this happened that I just described in 400 milliseconds, and actually less than 400 milliseconds, so the blink of an eye. So that's kind of the power of you leveraging all this intelligence and being able to stay ahead of the adversaries. And we're doing this every day. A larger scale attack. Let me give you one more example of a larger scale attack where all this came into play. Some of you may have heard of it, the SolarWinds attack, right? Without getting into technical details of how the adversaries got in and moved laterally and were undetected for quite some time, Microsoft stepped in when all this became out in the open, or actually when it was detected, not out in the open yet. When it was initially detected, Microsoft stepped in And we were able to revoke a certificate and cause millions of computers to immediately untrust a specific software. And then our legal team, in about 48 hours, executed a domain takeover of a nation state's C2 domain. Excellent example of how sharing security information amongst organizations and working with government can be extremely helpful in the cyber battlefield. For example, detecting something in XYZ government agency and then sharing the alert and eventually blocking all that malware with the world is definitely a good thing. So we really have those capabilities in the back end to help support a lot of that, and we're extremely proud of it. And it's not something you're going to see in our marketing material or anything like that, though. We do a lot of really great work in terms of making the world a safer place. And as I had mentioned before, it's not all about Microsoft. So I want to go over a few examples of our partnerships and intelligence we generate, and as we work with partnerships with government and industry to essentially create a safer world, right? So one of the many examples is our MISA program, Microsoft Intelligence Security Association, MISA program. It includes compliance partners, so it's fully supports the security compliance and identity ecosystem, open source and standards. The association continues to develop products and services that span across information protection, governance, e-discovery, and cyber. We launched MISA with 26 members in April 2018. And today, the organization has grown to 200 members. Actually, there was something that came out in the news today. Let me make sure. It was InfoSec. InfoSec joined today, and that was actually out in the public news just I think about an hour ago. It came out. I got it just before jumping onto this presentation. So we're doing a lot in terms of making certain that we are, that program, Microsoft Intelligence Security Association, is continually growing, and we're working with a myriad of different technologies, not only just our own, to help our customers and the world become safer. Another example is the establishment of the Cybersecurity Tech Accord. And this is an agreement to defend all customers everywhere from malicious attacks by cyber criminals and enterprises and nation states. So the group has continued to grow as well, and the organizations have joined from around the globe, including companies like Panasonic, Salesforce, Swisscom, Rockwell's Automation, and they're bringing a total signatories of just over 100 right now, and it's growing. And it's really the Digital Geneva Convention. Without getting into details, it has essentially these four goals: protect all users and customers everywhere, oppose attacks on innocent civilians and enterprises from everywhere, and empower users and customers to better protect themselves. And then I would probably add a fourth: it really enables a partnership and alliance to advance cybersecurity as well, because we're all collaborating with our innovative technologies and so forth. So this is the major theme of the presentation. I'm finally getting there. It's in the profile of what I'm really want to be focusing on. But I definitely am going to make sure I cover it, which is our Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit. So cybercrime, as all of you know, is borderless, and it impacts victims across the globe. And law enforcement, authority can be constrained by jurisdiction and limitations of legal processes, and used to request information. They can't be used to request information beyond national borders. And so fighting cybercrime requires strong international public and private partnerships. And we partner with national and international law enforcement, security firms, researchers, NGOs, and customers. And through our partnerships, we can act faster to stop harm to customers and develop evidence that law enforcement can use to, at the end of the day, arrest and do convictions. And now, the Microsoft Digital Crimes Unit is an international team of attorneys, investigators, data scientists, engineers, analysts, and business professionals located in about 20 countries at this point. And we use advanced analytics and artificial intelligence to identify and investigate, as well as disrupt and dismantle sophisticated online criminal networks that are out there. So working with law enforcement, our digital crimes unit has rescued over 5 million devices from botnets. We've stopped fake websites, linked to phishing campaigns, fought online child exploitation. One of the examples of this is our digital crimes unit's work is photo DNA. It's a robust hatching technology that adds a digital fingerprint to images and videos of exploited children. And so photo DNA allows law enforcement to pre-identify 85% of the images seized on hard drives so that they can focus on the remaining 15% not seen by the investigators previously. So Microsoft has donated this technology, which we use. It's used by numerous law enforcement and nonprofit groups around the world. So that's just a simple one of the many examples of some of the ways that we're protecting through that organization. A most recent and relevant way Microsoft has partnered with government is also through our executive order response. So those of you who don't know about the executive order, has been in the news quite a bit. On May 12th, President Biden signed an executive order to improve the nation's cybersecurity and protect federal government networks in response to all the recent incidents, the pipeline attack, even Solargate that we just spoke about. A lot of these sophisticated malicious activities are coming from nation states and cyber criminals, and for agencies, there are numerous requirements that they need to address, including some that were very short-term action items. And the executive order really seeks to strengthen baseline cybersecurity capabilities across our government organization by utilizing people, processes, tools, technology to really, and also a big part of it, of the 32 pages plus, is to increase the collaboration, increase collaboration with technology providers. That's one of the big themes in there. And so Microsoft has put a massive foot forward in taking that very seriously. Now, we believe people are the keys to making smart, educated choices, and we could create all the standards in the world and throw all the money in the world at our nation's cybersecurity problems, but people are going to continue to be undermined by adversaries unless we help them make better and smarter choices by providing very clear guidance, making education available, and support their enablement to make those smarter decisions and choices, resulting in, at the end of the day, continually improving, keeping our nations and citizens safe. So our nation is facing a cybersecurity talent crisis. I think that's well known. 500,000 unfulfilled cybersecurity jobs. Microsoft has committed to the White House to expand our existing large efforts. We've already had very large efforts, but now we're expanding that even further to partnerships with community colleges, nonprofits, cybersecurity trainings that help keep the work, hopefully start addressing that workforce and keeping pace with the in-demand skills right now. Additionally, we've offered a massive free repository of educational resources to address the critical cybersecurity shortage gaps as well. A lot of those are on LinkedIn. Start poking around. There's a whole bunch online. Just because it's free, it doesn't mean it's not quality. It's amazing some of the things we're offering. We're offering grants for our government, also employees to take, get certified, and a massive step forward in terms of enabling government to get that specific training and learning paths, workshops, certifications. We're providing reference architectures. One of the big parts of the EO effort is zero trust. So we're helping enable a lot of that as well. So another one of the themes in the EO or the executive order is the increased collaboration I mentioned. Now, specifically between private industry and government. And so as I wrap things up here, there was a really good story I heard. And it's an excellent example of how Microsoft and other U.S. technology people in the tech industry and companies in the tech industry need to improve the collaboration in government. And so recently, Microsoft's corporate VP, Ann Johnson, met with Michael Rogers, former head of U.S. Cyber Command. And he had some really insightful ideas on how the executive order should drive collaboration with government and private technology vendors. And Rogers basically said during the session that collaboration between the public sector and the private industries should be done like it's already being accomplished with great success in our aviation industry. And this isn't, maybe you guys have heard of this, but you heard this scenario before, but I hadn't until now. The private sector companies are in the aviation industry are very much okay working hand in hand with government without pushback to keep people on the ground and in the air safe by essentially collaborating and being required to openly share information about their proprietary innovations. So when things go wrong altogether, or if an event occurs in aviation, it needs to be reported, which is a requirement to do so. Private industry is required to work alongside of the public sector and openly share the software and systems to improve, remediate, and make certain that the incidents don't happen again through many ways, including training, education, design improvements. So this model works really well and is a great example of, the private and public sector collaboration that, is protecting our citizens, and it stops the same causes of incidents from happening again and again, like we unfortunately are seeing in cyber today. So this type of similar collaboration needs to, happen with specifically high-risk or mission-critical manufacturers of IT and software. So private companies, right now, essentially their brand reputation is only at stake. And currently, when things go wrong, we need to really realize that we act in a way that is most important, which is the safety of our citizens and nation. So no single agency or company can address our nation's cybersecurity challenge alone, and Microsoft has been a long believer in partnering with agencies to really share information and in the interests of national defense. So a few other examples is our work with NIST, the National Cybersecurity of Excellence, the NCCOE, on implementing Zero Trust Architecture project. And then Microsoft recently agreed to become an alliance partner in the new Joint Cyber Defense Collaborative, the JCDC, and that's established by Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency, CISA, to promote resilience and strengthen cyber defense of our nation. We're taking several steps for the nation's security. In terms of delivery of trusted secure services, Microsoft specifically will immediately provide $150 million in technical services to collaborate with federal, state, and local governments for security protection. This is a smaller part of the larger $20 billion investment over the next 5 years to accelerate and improve cyber outcomes for all of our customers by integrating cybersecurity by design in government collaboration and delivering advanced security. So that's what we have promised over this just in the last couple of months when our CEO Satya met with President Biden. So besides having the most largest number of government compliance built into our cloud than any other cloud provider, yes, that was a shameless plug, Microsoft's developed our supply chain integrity model as well, our SCIM, which enables automated verification of supply chain security policies and artifacts and evidence for all product types, including software, machine learning, data sets, and hardware. So lots of effort, massive efforts around open source and the Open Source Security Foundation. One of my colleagues is going to probably speak to that later on today. And so that really kind of concludes my presentation. I tried to cover a lot in a very short period of time. Hopefully this session was really insightful and I achieved my goal of informing you of Microsoft's efforts and commitment to cyber defense operations of the world, to the United States and our customers and end users. So thank you so much. I appreciate everyone's time this afternoon. Thank you.
Oh, that was great, Jay. I think everyone knows that Spider-Man No Way Home, the trailer's coming out today. If you've got kids or if you're Marvel fans, you'll know it's coming out. And so, Jay, I also like the plug, like with great, in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility as the main theme of Peter Parker. And while I'm joking about it, it is clear that Microsoft takes that same philosophy very seriously.
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you very much, Ron. I appreciate, and thank you, audience, for attending, and appreciate your time this afternoon.